afternoon from Los Angeles, and welcome to Stock Market Today, sponsored by Interactive Brokers. On today's show, we're going to be taking a look at a chip ETF, really leading the market here, Justin, and we're also taking a look at two stocks, including Floor and Decor, and a software developer that's a long-term leader. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Quorum here, and today I'm joined by Justin Nielsen. And Justin, we were able to finish higher across the board after the Fed announcement came out saying that we're leaving interest rates unchanged. The NASDAQ leading the gains up about 0.4% for the day. What are your thoughts?
So the Fed action, that was not something that was unexpected. Right. Going into yesterday, it looked like the Fed futures was expecting about a 98% chance that things would be left unchanged. So nothing too shocking there. Chips were a very big player today, and that's one of the reasons why the NASDAQ was leading. And again, what you've seen here is we had that kind of pull back to the 21-day line that we've been talking about, and we got support there. We never closed below it, and so this action is it's exactly what you want to see. It's acting well, just short of its old highs, and within like 1% probably. So it's not doing anything wrong, and the distribution, while a little bit high, the distribution count is a little bit high, but there is stalling in there that's going to be dropping off. There's some of the days that are very old; those are going to be dropping off. So far things are looking pretty good.
Yeah, conditions look really good right now, but of course, as we've also been saying, the real wild card over the weekend could be really good for the market.
When were you saying
really
that? This week, last week, last month, the month before?
Trade is always
seems like it's been the entire year.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But for now, let's take a look at what's popping up on the radar. And first and foremost, that is the chip sector. We're taking a look at the Van Eck Vectors Semiconductor ETF, SMH, which gained about 2% today, and it cleared a small consolidation.
Yeah,
here.
A small consolidation. This is one that we actually had on Swing Trader, but we kind of unfortunately got shaken out last week. But what's happening here is that the chips are acting very well, and this might be one of those things where a lot of them are out of position. So you might be saying, okay, well, I can't buy this one, I can't buy that one because it's out of position, and I think that's a good call. You don't want to be buying things extended, but an alternative, of course, is that you can buy the ETF, and you get access to all of the chips in a single purchase, basically, and you also don't have to worry about that earnings risk that comes up. So we still do have Broadcom earnings coming up, and you don't have to worry so much about that earnings risk. But we do have a lot of stocks in there. Just looking at the leaderboard itself, I mean, we have Inphi, we have NVIDIA, we have AMD, ASML. So we have a lot of exposure to chips, and that's kind of paying off for leaderboard right now because those are working well.
Yeah, but could this sector also be at risk over the weekend, depending on what happens with trade?
So that is the other side of this coin. Is no one quite knows what's going to happen. December 15th is when those tariffs are supposed to go into effect. And right now you can kind of see that this is, almost like an optimistic look at it, but of course that can change in an instant, as we've seen, they can change in an instant or a tweet, so any of that can change this very quickly.
Yep, keep an eye on those sell rules. All right, now let's move on, taking a look at Floor and Decor. A weekly chart here is what we're going to be taking a look at. Ticker there is FND. Today, the stock gained about 3.5%. It's looking like it's climbing up the right side of a base here, Justin. Now, you have some anecdotal information about this one, huh?
Well, I will say that when we were doing when we bought our house, my wife was just she wanted to come here all the time, and so when this stock IPO'd, I was like, okay,
it was on your radar.
It was on my radar because I know it well, and one of the things that I really loved about it was it did have very wide aisles, so you can kind of pull the tiles out, pull the flooring out, and take a look at it. But since its IPO, this has kind of had a lot of sideways action. But we did see a lot of movement in a lot of the building stocks and housing in general. So this just might be a follow-on play there. And what we're seeing is it kind of is setting up this nice cup with handle. It's shown the ability to make a move before. But what I also really like is if you look at this, if you look past to the 2018 Q4, that dramatic drop that it had, very dramatic. Now, very wide and loose, and down more than 50%. So really tough. But then the next pattern, a little bit tighter.
Yeah, it's
The next
tightening
pattern
up.
after that, a little bit tighter. And so that's good action right there. This is something that we've seen over and over, like, you could go back to Qualcomm back in 1999. It had similar action. PeopleSoft, even further back than that. Now, granted, this doesn't have the stellar earnings that Qualcomm had at that point, but that pattern is something that we do see over and over, and that tightening action is good.
Right, and fundamentals, I would say they're still reasonably solid.
Yeah.
So definitely something to keep an eye on there as well. And last but not least, let's take a look at Fair Isaac. The ticker there is FICO. So I wonder what business this company is in the credit scoring business, but from the software side.
Yeah, so they nailed that. And they have a bunch of different algorithms that will do different things to kind of make those calculations of risk. And of course, they're most known for that FICO score. So, for those of you that have been irresponsible, you hate FICO. If you've been responsible, then, FICO's your friend, right? But in terms of the stock, this is one that can kind of sneak up on you in terms of this is a long-time leader. This is one that has gone up quite a bit, and it just does it very slowly. It, tends to hold those long-term moving average lines. And right now, it is setting up into another cup with handle pattern, and so that might be something that's playable. Now, one cautionary thing here is it is a little bit thinner, so it only trades about 234,000 shares a day. Now, it's a higher price stock, so it definitely has the dollar volume there. It's not like it's small dollars that are trading in this, but when you do get fewer shares, sometimes that can add to a little extra volatility in terms of your bid-ask spread, and that can kind of put you under the gun a little bit, because as soon as you buy it, you're already kind of underwater, because if the spread is too large, because there's less liquidity. So that's just something to be aware of.
Yes, definitely something to be aware of. Also, something that I like is that you can actually see the handle on this weekly chart. A lot of times when we talk about cup with handle bases on a daily, flip over to the weekly, that handle kind of disappears. But this one you can actually see on the weekly chart. So that's positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's now about 4% below a potential buy point here, so we'll definitely keep this one on our radar.
Yeah, it's again, it's doing everything that it should. The relative strength line is a little bit of a laggard, but that also makes sense because it hasn't broken out to new highs yet. So the fact that it's not, the price high isn't there yet. If you see that relative strength line kind of get up to new highs before the price, that would give you an even bigger indicator that this might.
Indication. All right. Well, good tips there, Justin. All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching today. Before we go, just a few quick announcements for you. We will have another new episode of the Investing with IBD podcast out tomorrow. We have a new episode every Thursday, so make sure you check out investors.com/podcast for that. And then we also have a webinar coming up next week, trading strategies for the opening bell. So make sure you head to investors.com/webinar for all the key details on that. You definitely don't want to miss that webinar. And you know what it reminds me of, which I feel like might be brought up in this webinar, is IBD Live, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things that we're doing. We're kind of doing 10 minutes before the opening bell, and then we're kind of doing a little bit of hand-holding for people through those first minutes and actually the first hour, so they kind of can see what we're thinking about, how we kind of go about our day, and the discussions that we have amongst ourselves. So I believe you'll be joining later on this week again. Yep. You had a great debut.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I'll be on again on Friday, guys. So for that, you can head to investors.com/IBD Live, and just a reminder that you can get a free 2-week trial. Just check it out, see what it's all about. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.